Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United transfer news show. Daily, I'm trying to do these live streams when it comes to transfer news and stuff, as you guys kind of prefer lives when it comes to transfer news, but I want to keep this live stream short and sweet, dive right into the info, then sort of interact with the live chat. So in today's show, we're going to be talking about Sancho, all the latest information on that. The deal is essentially done. The buyout clause, how much Dortmund will pay for Sancho at the end of the loan deal if it goes well, why Sancho is going to Dortmund, more info on the Sancho and Ten Hag situation we're going to dive into. Then we're going to talk about Ten Hag, his future reports that Erik Ten Hag is going to walk at the end of the season, even if Man United do well or not, because he does not want to work with Ineos. We're going to talk about speculation and sort of info on sort of Ineos' plan to bring in a head coach, which is why Graham Potter is being looked at. We're then going to talk about Nico Williams to Manchester United being around £47 million, which could, in my opinion, be a bargain when you look at the price of Jared Bowen being 80 million, Elise being 60 million. I think that Nico Williams is a fantastic player. I'm going to break that down about why United should be looking at him, and Elise get into the info on United's plans to replace Sancho. And then, of course, we're just going to get into general Manchester United news stories, Wan-Bissaka new contract, why Reguilon's left, just other info going about as well, about sort of Graham Potter. Graham Potter, yeah. So please do hit that like button as you come into the stream, as Diego has put in the chat there. And good morning, everyone. Big up to David, Diego, and everybody in the chat as well. Ruben says, don't overspend money. It's not worth it. Build the youth. Do you know what? I agree with building the youth. Ted Mengi, how brilliant has he been at Luton Town this season? And Fulham and Crystal Palace are reportedly going to try and make a deal for Ted Mengi, who obviously I kind of get why United sold him because of his injury problems, but I think if he didn't have those injury problems, Mengi would have been the one. He's an unbelievable player, and it's such a shame now with us needing a centre-back that it just didn't really work out with Mengi. I kind of hoped that the Luton Town deal would have been a loan, but it was what it was. But talking of loans, let's get right into the info. Let's get right into the news on the likes of Jadon Sancho. So it was said on Sancho by Bill, Jadon Sancho to Borussia Dortmund on the 6-month loan is a done deal. He will arrive in Marbella on Friday to join up with the squad. So bish bash bosh, Sancho to Borussia Dortmund, done deal is what Bill is saying. And then, will they jump at the gun with this? Maybe. We haven't got Fabrizio Romano. Here we go. But Bill, when it comes to Bundesliga news, is pretty reliable. And then Simon Stone, who's a very good source of information, said that Jadon Sancho to Borussia Dortmund is not quite done, but it's looking positive for all parties that it will be done. And then the Sun, which to be honest is credibility in the mud, said there's likely to be a buy clause including Sancho's loan move to Borussia Dortmund, which other actual reliable sources have said. And then Fabrizio Romano has recently come out and said that Jadon Sancho is just waiting for the green light to travel to Dortmund's training camp in Marbella, but United and Dortmund are closing in on the deal. So I assume we'll probably get here we go for Sancho today or tomorrow. But some sources in Germany are actually saying, look, this deal is already done. Sancho is basically on his way to Marbella. We haven't had the Fabrizio Romano here we go, but I assume that this deal is basically 99% done and then will be 100 million done later. Someone said Nico Williams will be on you, Anthony. I don't think so. Nico Williams is very good one-on-one. He has pace. He likes to take on his man. He's also two-footed, so I think he could do a bit more than Anthony as well. Watching on my dinner. I guess it's dinner time some places in the world as well. And why do we need a winger? We have Aman and Palestri. Potter can work with them both in possession-based team, because I don't know if Palestri would be good enough, and Amad's had injury record as well. I like Palestri, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just became like a Fulham player. I think he's a good player. I think he's better than Anthony and should be getting more minutes than Anthony, but is he the level to take Man United to the Champions League final? Is he the level to take Manchester United to a Premier League title? I don't like to be negative. Palestri, I think, is a good player, but that's being a good player for playing for a top 8 Premier League side and being a player capable of winning Man United titles. And I don't think Palestri will be that player. And what potentially could be, but it's a risk with his injury. So diving into more information on Jadon Sancho, it was said new Borussia Dortmund is determined to complete Jadon Sancho's loan this week and have him back in the squad ahead of the return to Bundesliga from the winter break. So it looks like that is done. And then Pletty have also said that Sancho and Dortmund have a verbal agreement. They're just waiting for United to find the agreement. And I think the reason the deal isn't done quite yet is because basically what's essentially being done is basically this agreement with Sancho and Dortmund. Man United are now talking with Dortmund. Man United and Dortmund have right now, as far as I'm aware, have agreed on a €3 million loan fee. Man United to pay 50% of the wages, but then they've got to sort of agree to Man United to pay 50% of the wages and then a buy-on clause. So the way United are looking at it is saying, well, we'll pay a certain amount of the wages that they need to agree with Dortmund, and they need to agree with Dortmund a buy-on clause, because United might say, look, if it works out well, you can have them for 30 million, something like that as well. So that's why Sancho sort of maybe delayed, but it's basically been said by Diaz as well. Breaking: Sancho returns to Dortmund. The agreement has been reached. So we know Sancho has an agreement with Dortmund. Some reports are saying, look, Sancho has an agreement. It's Man United agreement, Borussia Dortmund. So there could be some news coming out really, really soon. So yeah. Please do hit that like button, of course, subscribe down below if you're new, share the video and all of that stuff as well. We've got loads and loads of info to get into in today's live stream as well. Is Williams a done deal? No, Sancho's a done deal. Williams is just a very good player, available for a good price as well. Just like Sergio Ratcliffe said, dumb money being spent at United. Well, United do love to spend dumb money, but I don't think Nico Williams for £48 million would be dumb money. I know a lot of you guys aren't a fan of Nico Williams, but I think he's a fantastic, unbelievable player, and we will dive more into that in a second. The Athletic actually came up with some information on sort of Jadon Sancho and why he's picked Dortmund on loan, and they said that the main reason and the key man behind his loan move to Dortmund could be Edin Terzic, who was already shown he can get the best out of Sancho, who's appointed caretaker manager in December 2020, and he instructed a couple of staff members to pay special attention to Sancho, making sure he was not late for meetings and ensure the player would spend as much time as possible in the close proximity to Erling Haaland, hoping the Norwegian's professionalism will rub off. So we obviously know Sancho and professionalism doesn't really go together with all the clubs he's been at, but this coach sort of worked with Sancho a lot to sort of help his professionalism and stuff, and Dortmund are willing to bring him back. And what I just hope with Sancho is I want Sancho gone because I don't like his attitude. Although as much as I'd rather see Sancho on the right wing ahead of Antony, I want Sancho gone because I don't like his attitude. But I want Sancho to go out to Dortmund on loan. I want Sancho to smash it at Dortmund on loan so we can go and get some nice money for him in the summer. Bish bash bosh, adios, and we can invest that into a right winger. That's what I want to see as well. That's what I want to see. Alice, do you think we have the money for a right wing? I think we do. I think right wing is going to be a priority. I think right wing, a midfielder and a centre-back will be the three priorities, followed by probably a cheaper striker and maybe another centre-back at United. I think there's going to be a big spend in the summer. And I know Man United never seem to have that big spend and buy 5 players that they need to buy. But I think with Ineos coming in, the January window probably being neglected, and this big clear out and the wage bill getting cleared out, and obviously we can go up to 105 million without... Oh, pardon me. Just sneezing out. Obviously, instead of the 15 million because of FFP, because of Ineos' cash injection, we can spend up to 105 million extra without FFP. So I think there will be a big spend in the summer for United, which I'll dive into as well. While I get there's uncertainty over Pellistri, none of us have the right to write him off when the only reason he's not got chances to prove his worth is because of Ten Hag. I agree. I don't want to completely write Pellistri off. I think Pellistri's a good player, but I don't think he'd be the level to take United to winning titles. And I don't think there's anyone, not many people in the squad that are going to be the level to take United to winning titles. I think he could do a job. I think he could do a better job than Antony, but I think with Pellistri, a good player. We'll have to see. He plays for Uruguay, but I think he'll have a good career, but I don't know if it will be at United. But would I play Pellistri over Antony? Absolutely. Talking of other transfer news and bits and bobs going about as well, there's reports coming out again from sort of South America that Man United and Brighton are showing an interest in LDU Quinto midfielder Oscar Zambrano, who's 19. People at Old Trafford call Zambrano the new Moises Caicedo. We've been linked to Oscar Zambrano a couple times before. He was almost close to joining Luton, but then didn't. And Luton actually have quite good scouts when it comes to younger players. So we are looking at Zambrano. He'd be available for around £4 or £5 million. He's kind of the next Moises Caicedo, but those in Ecuador say that he is better than Moises Caicedo was at 19, because I think he ranks third for players under the age of 25 across the whole world of football for like progressive passes or accurate progressive passes. He's very good at sort of breaking the lines and progressing play, bringing in that control. I actually did a report on Oscar Zambrano that came out about a month and a half ago. I did a report in the Copper Club where I spoke about replacing Casemiro, and I spoke about South American players that United should look at, and I actually named Oscar Zambrano as one of these players. I've done reports and I've written stuff about this player. So if we do get wrote stuff about this player. So if we do get more info coming out on Zambrano, then I'll show you sort of the articles I've wrote on this guy, and sort of the content I've made on him. But he is a great young midfielder coming through. It would be a very smart deal for United to do, because he'd be in that £4 million range, which is very much risk-free. The Sancho loan fee would cover about 60% of this deal. And I think young midfielder coming through, very talented. We've missed out on the likes of Moises Caicedo. Zambrano is very talented, and hopefully United do go through him. But there's no one top reliable reporting on this guy going to United. But I do have a lot of information on this guy if the links come out from more sort of reliable people. But I think the interesting thing is that leaks and reports had come out from Ecuador, which would have been sources close to the player, and has not really come out from the mainstream media around United. So it'll be interesting to see if any information does come out on Sobrano in the coming days, because we know in South America a lot of those players move in January ahead of the summer just because of how their season works. And we know that United have been linked to this guy. I've done articles on this guy, very good player. Would love Manchester United to go for Zambrano, but it's like such a smart deal. I feel like United won't do it. You know, when you get linked to someone that is very good and such a cheap price and is such a young player, and you're like, this guy is a gem signing. If it's a gem signing, I feel like United won't do it. That's how I feel. I feel like, you know what, United aren't going to do this deal because it's a smart signing, and United don't do smart signings. Bringing in more info, we've also got news saying just in, Manchester United have extended Wan-Bissaka's contract by 12 months and are planning to open talks over a new deal before the end of the season. I'm glad we've extended Wan-Bissaka's contract by 12 months, but I wouldn't open talks over a new deal until next season, because I do think Wan-Bissaka's dropped off a bit lately, and we don't want to be giving new deals to anyone that might not be in the long-term plans. I like Wan-Bissaka. Ultimately, I think he'll probably deserve to get a new deal, but I don't think we should be rushing any new deals until sort of Ineos is there and in place. But 58 likes, guys, on the road to 100 likes. We've got nearly 300 people watching, so do hit that like button if you have not already as well. I like having two tall centre-backs. I'd sell Casemiro and move Martinez to DM. Personally, I wouldn't do that just because Martinez is a natural centre-back and he's very, very important. I'd rather get a natural CM and a natural DM and then play Martinez in his natural position. It frustrates me when we play Bruno out wide, Rashford in the middle. I'd like to keep people to their natural position as well. The decision to keep Onana till the Tottenham game is another shambolic decision by the manager. Why side Bayindir and sell Kova and risk injury to Onana? Ridiculous. It's just Onana's desperate to stay. I think he's worried about losing his place to Bayindir, to be honest. And I like that Onana wants to stay at United and he's so committed to playing. But I'm just like, you know what, just give Bayindir a go in the Wigan game. Give Bayindir a go in the Tottenham game. Bayindir surely can't be that bad. You know, there's all these reports hyping up apparently about how good Bayindir is in training. So I'm thinking, well, Bayindir can't be dreadful, can he? Because he's always getting hyped up. Oh, Bayindir did this in training. I don't know if that's just Bayindir PR. But, I mean, yeah. I mean, Kovar's been quite good. Obviously, he's not the first choice keeper, but Kovar looks like a solid player as well. Continuing on with the news people as well. Is Nico Williams really your level? I think Nico Williams is great. Look, I'm not going to act like I've watched him, though. I've probably watched like 6 games that he's been in. But I think he's absolutely great. For what I've watched, I've been impressed with him. I really have been as well. So anyway, let's continue on to more information. It was said that Manchester United's exit from Europe and the EFL Cup is another factor in the decision, as Reguilon's game time will be further limited. So basically, it's been said that Reguilon will leave Man United. It's been confirmed, and that is because we're not going to be in the Carabao Cup in Europe anymore. So his game time's going to be limited. Shaw's fit. Malacia is very close to return, and even things like Delo, he can play left back as well. Continuing on, I want to talk about Ten Hag. I want to get into some info on Ten Hag, Graham Potter, all this sort of news coming about at the moment. So what was sort of the news on Ten Hag, and what was sort of the info that I'd gathered as well? So this is what I said last night. I said, the future is not looking good for Ten Hag, particularly after meeting Ratcliffe today. Ineos are looking to do a complete overhaul of transfer operations, and they wouldn't be trying to bring in Ashworth and Mitchell if they were going to give Ten Hag lots of power and lots of say when it comes to transfers. The problem is Erik Ten Hag is very reluctant to give up power when it comes to transfer, according to Rob Dawson, with Ten Hag previously saying about a year ago in an interview, I set requirements in advance about how I want to work. If they aren't guaranteed, I won't do it. I'm ultimately responsible and accountable for the results. I don't want to be the sole ruler. I stand for cooperation, but control and transfers is a condition to me. Ten Hag made it very clear to have control, to have a say over transfers is a condition for him. It's a condition, he's saying, and that's what he wants. Now, Ineos are coming in to bring in Ashworth, to bring in Mitchell, and while Ten Hag will have a say, Ten Hag's not going to be allowed to have the power he previously had with vetoes and recruitment. Ashworth and Paul Mitchell would do the groundwork, and then they would have a conversation with Ten Hag about it. But Ten Hag is disagreeing to this. Ten Hag is disagreeing with Ralf Rangnick about this, and the ultimate report is saying, well, this is not causing a good relationship between Ten Hag and Ralf Rangnick, because Ineos will just get rid of Ten Hag if he does not want to do that. And then looking like the case is looking like to be that Ten Hag's future very much isn't safe. And I was talking to someone, and they said they believe that if Ten Hag ends the season well and this continues, he'll just walk. There's a feeling that Ten Hag's either going to be sacked if he ends the season poorly, or he's going to walk at the end of the season with his head held high, because there's a feeling already that there's friction between Erik Ten Hag and Ineos, with Graham Potter reportedly being in contact already. There's a feeling and report that there is friction. It was said that Ineos will not allow Ten Hag to have this power, and if he refuses, then he is gone, with some reports even suggesting that United have contacted Graham Potter. And we will talk about Graham Potter in a second. I said I assume Ten Hag will get to the end of the season that implementing structural changes is Ineos' priority, but did hear info on Ineos wanting to bring in Dan Ashworth and co to create a vision of how they want United to play, and then hire a head coach to do that rather than backing Ten Hag. So the feeling is that Ten Hag might walk at the end of the season with his head held high, because there's a feeling that unless he's reluctant to give up power, it's not going to work with Ineos. And Ineos are already there sounding out Graham Potter. Blanc's had contact with Graham Potter. You look at the fact that Blanc has a very good relationship with Graham Potter, Brailsford is good friends with Graham Potter, and you look at the fact that we want to bring in Dan Ashworth, and more reports are saying Dan Ashworth to United is seeming more and more likely, despite him being at Newcastle and his relationship with Graham Potter. And it almost does feel like Graham Potter to United is inevitable, especially with info coming out that I had heard, and that I think had been reported by a few people, maybe the Muppleteers, that basically Ineos almost see it as, rather than bringing in a manager and backing a manager, Ineos want Dan Ashworth to come in and create a vision for United. This is how United are going to play. We're going to buy the players so United can play this way, and then we're going to get a head coach in to do that, rather than a manager. Is sort of what Ineos' reported philosophy is. So there is that feeling that, yeah, Erik Ten Hag, if things continue, if things get bad, there's possibilities that Erik Ten Hag could very much walk as well. Drew says Todibo is a must in the January. I think we should trigger Frimpong's release clause, and Elise's release clause. This would fix the right-hand side and then sign a much-needed midfielder. And I think that would be really smart business. Todibo, 40 million. Elise will be about 60 million. And then Frimpong, I think I don't know what his release clause is, but I do agree that would be smart business. And you could bring in someone like a Mats Wiefer or an Amadou Onana in midfield, and then maybe we look for a young striker. Potentially we look at left centre backs as well, and Inacio, who's got, I think, a 50 million release clause. But as I've said, I think Todibo is about £37 million. And for me, I just think United should go all out for that, especially with the Nice Ratcliffe connection. We could get him even cheaper. He's a good player that can cover ground. While there are better right centre-back options out there, they're going to be 70, 80 million. We need about 5 positions to be addressed in the summer, so I'd rather go for someone than 40 million. Ten Hag signed off Mount, Anthony, Vehicle, Sabitzer and Amrabat, doesn't play them. What control does he need? And I think that's another reason why Ineos would be like, no, you're not having control when we can bring in Dan Ashworth and Paul Mitchell as well. No, that's Nico Williams. So it's not the Nico Williams who wasn't good enough for Liverpool. Nico Williams is at, what do you call them? Oh my God. Athletic Bilbao. When I'm talking about Nico Williams, I'm talking about the one in playing in Spain, not the Liverpool reject. Just to clarify, because a lot of you have been negative about Nico Williams. I hope you're not getting the wrong one as well. There isn't really many managers out there to get even in the summer. The only one I can think of is Nagelsmann. Yeah, this is the thing. I'm not a big fan of the Graham Potter links. And one of the reasons I don't want Ten Hag to be sacked is because ultimately if Ten Hag is sacked, there's a feeling that it is going to be Graham Potter coming into Manchester United next. And I just think, well, actually, if we sack Ten Hag, the options out there are dry. I like the sporting manager. I like Nagelsmann. But the managerial options out there are dry. And if Man United sack Ten Hag, they're going to have to scrape the barrel. They're going to have to scrape the barrel for options out there as well. If Ineos is serious, we shouldn't sign any permanent players in January except Todibo. I actually agree with that. Because I think all the serious players that we'll be looking at will be in the summer, and I feel like we need the right people in place before we make big serious signings, because I feel like we could sack Ten Hag. So do we want to spend 100 million in January if we sack him? Ineos could sack Ten Hag. We don't. I think for United, some temporary deals would be fine, or someone for the future like Marcus Leonardo would be fine, but I get that. For me, I'd have been open to doing in January was either getting Nico Williams on the cheap, because he's just signed a new contract now, but if he hadn't signed a new contract, we could have got him on a pre-agreement for free. Would be Marcus Leonardo, who's now gone to Benfica, who will probably bid 100 million on in a few years, and then it would have been Todibo, because just the fact that I think he would fit many systems, the relationship with Nice and more. They were the 3 deals that I'd be looking at as well. Brighton manager's what we want. I'm not the biggest fan of De Zerbi, to be honest, as well. I don't want Ten Hag to get sacked. I want Ten Hag to do well. I want Ten Hag to turn it around. I want him to succeed, because the biggest problem at this club is the board, the way we operate, the players. I don't want the players to get away with sacking another manager. Ultimately, if Ten Hag continues the way he's going, this McTominay obsession, he's going to get himself sacked, and fair enough. But the problem is, if Ten Hag gets himself sacked, there's not the best replacements out there. There's the Graham Potters of the world, which is particularly worrying as well. Get Erik Ten Hag another chance, get him the players he wants. I don't want Potter. Rather get Zidane. Well, Zidane doesn't want to come to United. So yeah, I do agree. give Sano to the end of the season, see how he does come into the season, but there's a feeling that his relationship with Ineos is very much on the edge as well. And Graham Potter being a Chelsea reject, I think with Graham Potter, I just see him coming to United and just being swallowed up. He got swallowed up at Chelsea. If you got swallowed up at Chelsea, I just don't know in my head how you're going to survive, how you're going to cope at Man United if you couldn't survive at Chelsea. Because United swallow managers up. Maybe it'll be different with an Ineos, Ashworth, Paul Mitchell era. Maybe it'll be different. Maybe it'll be better. But it's still the media pressure, the everything around it, the players, the attitude. It's going to take a while. I worry for Graham Potter. He's not my ideal type, and we'll talk about that in a second. But a lot of you have been asking me about Nico Williams and who he is. So Nico Williams is a 21-year-old right winger that plays for Athletic Bilbao. He's a 1v1 specialist. He can take on his man. He can play both left wing and right wing, and actually can use both feet. The most frustrating thing about Anthony is it seems that he can't even get past his fullback. He can't even get past his man. Whereas Nico Williams is more like a Doku, who's more direct. He can get past his man. He can take on his man. He's happy to play on the left. He's predominantly on the right. Arsenal fans want him, Chelsea fans want him, Liverpool fans want him, Newcastle fans want him. I think with a lot of top clubs needing a right wing, he's going to be someone that's swooped up. But he's only 21 and his release clause is £47.5 million, which I get is a little on the pricey side because of his inexperience. But when you think of Elise's release clause being 60 million and Nico Williams arguably being better than Elise this season, but I think obviously let's judge at the end of the season when Elise had the full season under his belt because of injuries and Elise started the season well. If Elise's output continues like the way it started this season, Elise is worth 60 mil. But if it doesn't, Nico Williams could be better value for money. Both are top great players. Nico Williams, Elise, Sudi, Bakayoko, they're players I'm a big fan of. Kubo's a player I'm a big fan of. There's some great right wing options out there. But I think because there's a lot of top clubs, Man City need a right wing, Liverpool need a Salah replacement, Arsenal will need some backup for Saka, Newcastle need a right wing because a lot of clubs, Chelsea arguably need a right wing because a lot of clubs, I guess they've got Cole Palmer, need a top right winger. It's going to be a lot of competition, but he averages 6 progressive parries and 4 successful tackles per 90, sitting in the 95th percentile across Europe's Big Five and the Champions League. And I think Nico Williams is one of the most exciting, fantastic young right wingers out there. And I think that he is worth about 47.5 million. I guess that I've not watched loads of him and he's over in Spain, but I just think when you look at the price players going for these days, I think that he could be worth that. However, it's always sceptical with United signing right wingers because we spent 85 million on Anthony, 72 million on Sancho. I'm like, do we want to spend another 50 million on a right wing? Well, it feels like we're cursed. It feels like every right wing that comes to United is ultimately going to fail. It does almost feel like Manchester United are very much cursed. But he's absolutely rapid as well. It's absolutely rapid as well. And Alice, we need fast attacking players, even players who can score from free kicks. We just need wingers that can actually be quick, run on and take on his man. Jadon Sancho and Anthony don't have that blistering pace. They would take so many touches and they wouldn't get past their fullback. Nico Williams is that fast, direct kind of winger that can take the ball from outside to in and will just get past his man. The amount of times Anthony gets the ball, takes a few touches, can't get past the fullback, has to play it back, slows down the game, absolutely infuriates me. With a player like Nico Williams, at least you've got someone that's quick, that can take on their man. Salah is negotiating a new contract at Liverpool, but I still wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool were looking at long-term replacements. I think Liverpool are particularly eyeing up Jarrod Bowen, but they've also been linked to Elise, but I don't think Elise is a Liverpool kind of player. I think Nico Williams is more suited to Liverpool, and I think Bakayoko is more suited to Liverpool, if I'm being honest. But continuing on with news, we're going to talk about Graham Potter to Manchester United. It has been said Graham Potter has been informally sounded out about his plans for the future by Ineos and Jean-Claude Bonk, who have had calls with him and agents pushing this, blah, 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 blah. So there's sort of reports suggesting that Ineos, Jean-Claude Bonk have actually had contact with Graham Potter to say, look, we're interested in bringing you in as part of this new project as well. This and that. Do I want Graham Potter at Manchester United? No. Am I willing to give Ineos the reins to do what they want to do, bring in Paul Mitchell, bring in Ashworth, if they believe Potter's the right choice? Would I back Potter? 100%. I wouldn't appoint Potter. I have no interest in bringing Graham Potter to Manchester United. But if that is what Ineos want to do, if that is Ineos' plan, if that is Ineos' vision, I'm not going to be crazy negative about it. I'm not going to cry about it. I just think if this guy couldn't cope at Chelsea, what do you expect him to do at United? He's not Harry Potter. He's not a wizard. I think, the United job is basically one of the most hard, difficult jobs in the world. So I do look at it and I just think, for me, I'm not a big fan of Graham Potter to United. I think that he played good football. I think he did a very good job at Brighton. But as I've said, Managing Brighton and managing United is like two different jobs. Managing United, you've got to work with the Glazers, the idiots. You've got to work with players that will throw you under the bus at any chance. You've got to be a good man manager. You've got to be strong. You've got to be able to manage big personalities. Potter could not do that at Chelsea. But you've also got to deal with the media pressure, and that crumbles as well. At Man United, it's harder than Arsenal. It's harder than Chelsea because you've got more media pressure than at Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City. Man United, everyone loves negativity. The media admitted it. They love negativity around United. It's like Rasmus Højlund didn't score, even though we've got 5 goals in the Champions League and he has no service in the Premier League because he hadn't scored. People were like putting stick on Rasmus Højlund. Anana, when he makes a mistake, gets more coverage than any other keeper making a mistake. When you're at United, you got put under the spotlight like that. Way more intense. Liverpool are a massive club, but even they don't get put under the spotlight like United do. You've got to have it to manage United, working with the Glazers, working with these players. I don't think Potter has that. I thought Ten Hag had that. I don't think he does. Fergie seems to be the only guy that had that. And maybe with Ineos coming in a better structure in place, it will be better for the next manager. But ultimately, I think he would crumble at United. I think, to be honest, you might as well give Ten Hag to the end of the season, see how he does, see how Ten Hag's relationship with Ineos is. Does Ten Hag walk? Because there's a feeling that Ten Hag will walk. But I just think Graham Potter, I would rather go for Flick. I'd rather go for Nagelsmann. I just think Graham Potter could struggle at a big club like Manchester United as well. For all the best Manchester United news, please do subscribe to Alice Talks Football. Big up Diego in the chat as well. Let's just get Neil Warnock. Oh my days. To be fair, I wouldn't put it past Man United to go for someone like Gareth Southgate. I had this nightmare once. I think I've told you this in the stream before. That Man United woke up and they're like, yeah, we're going to get Gareth Southgate. Yeah, we're going to get Gareth Southgate. And for me, that would be a nightmare, going all in for Gareth Southgate. I would not be a big fan of that. But luckily, I don't think United are that interested in going all in for Jadon Sancho, Gareth Southgate, but I'm just still not a big fan of Potter as well. Tony Pulis incoming. Current setup, Mission Impossible. We've got tried nearly every sort of manager post Alex Ferguson. I agree. Maybe in 3 years, once Ashworth and Mitchell are here and they put the structure in place. Maybe in 2 years, once Ashworth and Mitchell are here, they put the structure in place. They've appointed the right kind of players. Maybe Graham Potter could work as a head coach with this vision of Ashworth coming in and adapting a way that he wants United to play. But it ultimately just feels like Brexit FC. Jim Ratcliffe is British. He wants to create a British core. Graham Potter comes in. It almost feels like Brexit FC at Manchester United. Do I think Graham Potter is a good manager? Yes. I think that it's hard to judge Graham Potter over what he did at Chelsea. And I think a lot of people are judging him over the job he did at Chelsea. And that is purely because you look at just every manager being swallowed up at Chelsea, the mess, how bad that club is run. But then you also realise that Manchester United is run incredibly badly. So, you kind of balances it out. I think he's a good manager. I think that Graham Potter could do well at a decent-sized club who would give him the long-term vision, the long-term backing without the media pressure that has run well. But I don't think he could do it at United. I'd like him to prove me wrong if we do get it. But I am worried about this guy. It's not about his ability. It's not about the football he plays. I think Graham Potter actually played quite good football. And you saw when Graham Potter was gone that Chelsea got way worse under Lampard. Chelsea haven't looked much better under Poch. But you look at it and you just think it's the mental thing. It's not about the football he plays. I like the football Graham Potter plays, but it's like, first, can you get the Man United players to play that football? That seems to be mission impossible because our players are lazy. They don't try. Second of all, the board, the way that we operate things. Obviously, Dan Ashworth, Paul Mitchell coming in would be a big improvement. So maybe that's not as big of an issue, but you just don't know what Ineos are going to be like. Ineos could be just as big a mess as the Glazers and still get it completely wrong. And then you look at sort of actually to deal with Man United. And Graham Potter, for me, I think just give Ten Hag to the end of the season. I think don't appoint a new manager till the summer where there's lots of options, and only appoint a new manager if we feel like Ten Hag is just not going to cut it. Do you know what I mean as well? Bare minimum 200 likes, guys. Yeah, we've got 350 people watching. Please do hit that like button if you haven't already, and of course, subscribe down below if you're new as well. Poch at Chelsea is awful, so judging Potter by his spill at Chelsea is unfair. However, he isn't the man we need, and this is how I agree. I think he's a good manager. I think it's unfair to judge him at what he did at Chelsea, but I just think he's not the guy we need as well. 100%. And Erik Ten Hag will surprise everyone with his kind of play with the right players. I believe Ten Hag is the right manager. Well, that's what I hope is the case. I believe with Martinez and Casemiro coming back from injury and Ten Hag getting a bit of a chance to turn it around. I hope Ten Hag can turn it around. I know it takes time as well, but yeah. Anyway, comparing Brighton managers, De Zerbi plays better football than Potter ever did as well. Exactly. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up today's live stream here. It was just a quick live stream diving into all the info. I will be back at 6:30 tonight, so please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. Bye.